So, good evening, everyone. Our topic for tonight is about chapter 9 from populations to communities. No, so in this chapter, we have 5 major topics, no? So, atong makita dira sa atong chapter contents. So, now let's go to the introduction of our topic. So, what determines a species' abundance and distribution? So, as what we can remember sa atong mga previous nga lessons, ato pod siya gihapon makita karon no sa atong chapter. First of all, naatay role of conditions and resources, migration, competition, katong intra and interspecific competition, even mutualism, predation, and parasitism. So, guys, in reality, no, atong makita dire nga dili ra di ay siya usa ka factor ang naga-affect or naga-determine sa kadaghan or ang distribution sa species, but they are what? They are a dynamic combination of these effects, no? So they have a relative importance with each other. Since this we are talking about communities and populations, of course they are interconnected with each other. Next thing we have here is what we call a community matrix. So, unsa ba ni siya? So, a community matrix illustrates how each species may interact with several others in competitive interactions. Mao ganitong akong giingon ganihan no nga when we talk about populations, they are really interconnected with each other. So, example, kini, atong tanawon ha. Kini sa ubos, kining 1, 2, 3. For example, let's take that as kanang mao na sila ang mga plants, no? Next, ang 4 and 5 mao na sila ang mga grazers or kanang mga cows, mga cattle. And then ang 6 and 7, let's see that one as our predator and prey interaction. So, if we will dig deeper into it, atong masabtan no nga ang atong community matrix, it has at least 3 trophic levels. I mean, naatay plant, which is ang atong 1, 2, 3. We also have our herbivore, ang gakaon sa plant, no? And then the third one, which is our predator, nga mauna pod ang ga-attack sa atong mga herbivores or sa atong mga animals. So, let's proceed to the next, no? Sa atong second major topic, which is, introduction pa lang dito. Now, let's go to our first major topic. So, unsa ba ang mga multiple determinants of the dynamics of population? So, as what being stated sa atong book, it says nga fluctuations in abundance are caused by a wide variety of biotic and abiotic factors. So, unsa ba ni siya ang biotic and abiotic factors? So, when we say biotic, these are living factors or kanang mga living things nga nag-affect sa other organisms or they also shape the environment. So, example, ani kay atong mga animals, the plants, bacteria, fungi, ug daghan pa jud. But when we say abiotic factors, mao ni silang mga non-living things nga naga-affect sa other organisms. So, may it be our temperature, no? Kung asa sila gapuyo, may it be the water, the light, the air, the soil. So, mao na siya ang mga kanang factors, no, that can determine the dynamics of a population. So, usahay, maka-ask kita no, kanang nganong ang inani nga species kay gamay ra kay sila sa inani nga place, nganong inani kay rare sila, nganong ang inani kay common kay sila, no? So, another question is, why does a species occur at low population densities in some places and then nganong sa uban kay sa high density? No, so to provide an answer for this, what do we need to know? We need to know the physico-chemical conditions, the level of resources available, specifically ang ilang food. Number 3, unsa ba kaha ang life cycle sa organism and unsa ang influence sa ilahang mga competitors, no? And then we also have the predators, unsa ba ang mga present nga predators sa inana nga lugar, and of course kaning mga parasites. So, if we will bring all these factors together, unsa na, mauday na sila ang naga-influence sa abundance through the effects of birth, their death, dispersal, and migration. So, to further discuss, no, what total numbers can and cannot tell us. So, unsa man ni siyang buot pagpasabot aning total numbers? Total numbers of a population. Unsa kaha ang matel ana sa atoa? No, so the raw material for the study of abundance is usually some estimate of the numbers of individuals in a population. As what we can remember sa atong previous nga lesson, di ba giingon nga dili jud sila most of the time makahatag og specific nga number but just an estimation of the population. To continue, the most satisfactory studies therefore estimate, pero gini na, they not only estimate the numbers of individuals but they also consider these factors which are unsa ba ang age sa kanang organism, unsa iyang sex, ug unsa ang iyang size, no? Dili lang nga ingon sila sa number but as well as these other factors. In addition to that, what correlations can and cannot tell us? Correlation sa unsa? Correlation sa atong mga animals, sa mga organisms. So the data that accumulate from estimates, ganiha, estimates of abundance may be used to establish correlations with external factors. No? So if we will look at it, to establish correlations with external factors like food or weather, so unsa ba ang paano ba na siya makakorrelate sa ato ang mga organisms? Example sa isa ka lugar, scarce kaayo ang food nila. So how can you correlate that with the organism? It can be what? It can be used to predict the future. Again, example, if sa inani nga place kay scarce kayo ang food sa mga inani nga klase sa organism, example sa cats. No, so what will happen in the future? Of course, mga matay lagi sila kay scarce ang food sa inana nga lugar. And then, if we will look here sa example, figure 9.2, we can see 4 examples in which population growth rate increases with the availability of food. So if atong makita, no, letter A, B, C, and D, giingon diri nga unsa ba na? Positive growth rate indicates increasing abundance, while negative growth rate shows decreasing abundance. Of course, atong common sense jud no nga if gamay ang availability sa food kay unsay mahitabo sa mga organisms, of course mga matay sila. They will die because of starvation, o again, sige hapon, increases in annual population growth rate with the availability of food measured as pasture biomass. So mauna siya no. So let's proceed to the next. Fluctuation or stability. So pag moingon tag fluctuation, kana bitaw nga kung sa kuan pa kay ga-fluctuate, kanino ga-fluctuate. So some populations appear to change very little in size, no? But the stability of a population may conceal complex underlying dynamics. Mao gani na nga if makakita tag usa bitaw ka population unya moingon ta nga hala very little ra kaing changes sa ilang size, so stable ra na siya. But what we don't see are the complex underlying dynamics. So let's look at the next figure here. Let's look at the next example. So this plant, this is located in, makita na to ni siya sa Poland, no? This is what we call the annual sand dune plant, which is named as Androsaeus septentrionalis. Wala na ko, dira nabutang, but well, anyway, they've conducted an 8-year study about this plant, no? And then we can see there that there is a relatively little change in adult numbers from year to year. Now, if tanaw na to dira sa 1968 something, murag ni sobra ra siya 800 ang iyang kuan iyang growth or maximum germination. Tapos pag-abot og 1969, niabot siya 1,000, no? And then, dira sa may 1971 to 1972, kanang naara siya sa range nga 800 bitaw. So, dili ra siya inana kalayo sa usa kag usa. So, makaingon ta nga stable ang iya nga growth, no? But let's look at the another example. This one is makaingon jud ta nga grabe kaayo ang pag-fluctuate sa iyang growth, no? The abundance index. So, this is a, kuan ni siya, iyahan ni siya sa house mice, nga example, or Mus domesticus, which inhabited in Australia. So, atong makita nga grabe kaayo ang irregular eruptions sa abundance sa mga ilaga. So, pag moingon tag eruption, that is a sudden, violent, or forcible entry. So, we can see that in the year 1984, grabe, 300 kay sila kabuok. Unya, pag-abot sa 1988, ni baba silag mga range between 50 to 100 ra gud, no? So, grabe kaayo ang pag-fluctuate sa ilang nga population. So, mao na siya mga example, guys, sa fluctuation and stability. Next, let's proceed to the determination and regulation of abundance. So, sabay naa dere. When we say regulation, this is the tendency of a population to decrease in size. Mo decrease ang ilang size when it is above a particular level, pero mo increase na pud ang ilang size when below that level. So, murag balance ra bitaw, no? Murag kuan siya, murag inversely proportional. If mo decrease ang usa, mukha na po ang usa, di ba? Now, so on the other hand, the precise abundance of individuals will be determined by the combined effects of all the factors and all the processes that affect a population, whether may it be dependent or independent of density. Kung ang regulation nag-refer siya sa size, ang determination naman niya nag-refer siya sa density, no, sa isa ka organism. But there is really no conflict between the two views. The first one is preoccupied with what regulates population size, and then katong ikaduha, what determines population size. So both are perfectly valid interests. So now let's go to the next example here in figure 9.5, no, daghan kay ilaga. So if there are a range of possibilities when it comes to regulation and determination. So sa letter A, atong makita that some populations in nature are almost always recovering from the last disaster. So naadyoy uban, no, nga bisag bag-ura na human ang disaster kay makarecover na sila dayon. So atong makita po dira sa illustration nga daghan gihapon ang ilang population. Napoy uban nga species nga usually limited by an abundant resources. No, limited ra sila, atong makita sa letter B nga okay ra ilang population, but they have a lot of resources. Daghan kay ilang food resources. Sa letter C na pod, no, atong makita nga this is an illustration by a scarce resource. Of course, akong giingon ganiha sa atong previous nga mga slides nga if there is a scarcity of food resource, of course, atong mapredict na jud ang future nga unsa mugamay pud ang population sa usa ka organism. And then the last example, which is makita nato sa letter D, others are usually in decline after sudden episodes of colonization. So, inyong makita nga na ay parachute ang ubang mga ilaga dira. So, shows nga, no, sometimes there is a colonization happening in a certain area, and then, of course, if gicolonize sila, na ay possibility nga mugamay ang population sa inana nga organism, no? Okay, so let's now proceed. So how can we distinguish clearly between unsa jud ang nagaregulate ug taga-determine sa abundance of a population? So how to determine that and to regulate, to distinguish is to use this what we call key factor analysis. So, this is a technique for us to predict fluctuations in population size based on unsa, identifying the relative contributions made to it by the key factors katong birth, death, immigration, and emigration. So, in here, unsaon na to pagkuha aning key factor analysis. So, first of all, we should calculate the K values for each phase of life cycle. Later, makita na siya sa table. And then, K values measure the amount of mortality. When we say mortality, mauna siya ang, it refers to the losses from the population. So, the higher, atong, tandaan, nga the higher the K value, the greater the mortality. Nga naman. Because K stands for killing power. So, mortality during a phase that is important in determining population is referred to as key phase. So, mauna siya, guys. So, kini na atong example regarding the key factor analysis. Unsaon na to pagkuha na. So, as what we can see here, this is a Canadian Colorado potato beetle. No, so let's look at this life table. So, sa una nga column, atong makita ang nagkalahi-lahi nga phases sa ihang life cycle. Of course, it will start with an egg, and then ma-form na siya into a larva, until nga mo abot na siya sa iyang adult stage, no? So, number 2, mauna siyang estimated numbers at the start of each phase. So, numbers per 96 potato hills. So, mauna siya 11,799 and so on. Sa ikatulo, dira na to makita ang numbers dying in each phase. Example, sa kaning larva, early larva nga stage, from 6,892, unsay nahitabo, walay namatay. Pero sa kanang late na pod nga stage, still 6,892, pila ka buok ang namatay na ay 3,722, no? And then, sa fourth na pod nga column, makita na to nga these were the main causes of deaths unsay nahitabo. May it be kanang naay rainfall, naay cannibalism, naay emigration or starvation nga nahitabo. And then next is isolve na ang unsay tawag ani, logarithms of the numbers at the start of each phases are listed. So factor log 10n, so mao na siya. And then the last column, atong makita dira simply the differences between successive values in column 5. So mao na siyang yang K value after the computation. Okay. So now let's proceed to our next major topic, which is dispersal, patches, and meta-population dynamics. So, we have already seen, no, atong example na to, nga emigration was the predominant reason for the loss of katong mga Colorado potato beetles bitaw, no, ilang pagbalhin sa lugar, no, mao jud ni siya ang predominant reason nga nung mga wala sila kung summer. So, now let's go here, no, sa atong next topic. Migration can be a vital factor in determining and regulating abundance. So, unsa bay naa dere? First, we will know unsa ba ang meaning sa dispersal. So, dispersal is an action of spreading across or moving away over a large area. So, this has a particularly important role to play when populations are fragmented and patchy as many are. No? So, if mo disperse bitaw ni sila, other species, they disperse uniformly, others naman kay random kay ilang dispersion, and then others ay nitapok ra gud sa like specific jud nga area or sa specific nga patch, or mao na siya gi-search na nako guys, clump dispersion. Next is unsa ba to siya ang mga patches atong giingon ganiha. So patches is an area, or patch is an area of habitat differing from the surroundings. And most ano jud, most of the time mo ni sila o kaning mga patch, na napoy patch diri, pwede po dira kapuyo ang mga species, na napoy diri, o inanipod. So, they are often the smallest ecologically distinct landscape. So, may it be example ana kanang atong mga wetlands or atong mga perennial nga mga grasslands. So, mao na siya atong mga patches. Next one is what we call the metapopulation. So, unsa ba ni siya? A metapopulation consists of several subpopulations. So, like in short, it is a population of populations bitaw. And then, they occupy distinct habitat patches which remain connected through individual migration. So, umauna siya, guys. Again, population of populations. So, how can we say ba nga ang population is a metapopulation? So, it can be described as a metapopulation if it can be seen to comprise a collection. Mao gani no giingon nga population of populations kay collection siya, guys, of subpopulations. So, each one of these has a realistic chance of both going extinct, pwede sila mo extinct, or pwede pud sila nga mo appear again through recolonization. Since daghan kaayo sila, no? So, mo na siya. So, in here, in the metapopulation, less ang ilang emphasis sa birth, death, and movement processes. They emphasize more on the colonization and extinction. Mao gani nung giingon diri sa previous na to nga slide nga they have a chance of going extinct or mag-unsa to or mag-colonize, no? They may reappear again. Appear again through recolonization. So, example, as what we can see here sa Glanville fritillary butterfly, atong makita diri nga even the largest subpopulation, grabe kay ni siya, dako kay niyang subpopulation, still, it has a high probability of declining to extinction within 2 years. If atong makita dira nga, in 1991, grabe kay, daghan kig anang circle-circle. Unya, pag-abot 1993, diri sa left side, ni gamay na lang yun. So, sa atong giingon ganiha sa description, they have the possibility to go extinct or they may have the possibility to appear again through recolonization. Okay, now let's go to our second to the last major topic. So this is temporal patterns in community composition. When we say temporal, unsa gani na siya, it is regards through time. No, so we have two subtopics which are founder-controlled and dominance-controlled communities and community succession. So of course, let's go first sa atong founder-controlled and dominance-controlled communities. So first of all, disturbances that open up gaps are common in all kinds of communities. So, unsa ba ni siya? Ato na siya masabtan unya ang mga disturbances. So, gaps are simply patches within which many species suffer local extinction simultaneously. So, example, sa atong mga rocky shores, ang mga gaps may be formed as a result of severe wave action. Katong I remembered ang gidiscuss ni Naz ato sa may intra-specific competition ba, no? Nga kung grabe kayo ka kusog bitaw ang wave dira sa shore, di ba maka-create siya gap sa usa ka organism. Unya, pwede ma-invade sa usa ka organism, di ba? So, gaps are simply patches that they can, species can suffer local extinction. No, so again, ang atong mga disturbances, mauto sila ang kanang mga severe kaayo nga waves or mga grabe kaayo nga mga winds. So, mauna siya, no? So, dire, two fundamentally different kinds of community organization can be recognized. Mauna ni siya ato siya i-further discuss since we have the founder and the dominance controlled. So, sa founder-controlled, mauni sila ang mga species which are good colonists and essentially equal competitors in communities. So, atong tanawon, good colonists sila o equal competitors po sila. So, in here, let us remember nga natin ginatawag nga competitive lottery, which means on each occasion nga naay mamatay nga organism, there is a gap which is open for invasion. Example, naay mamatay. Naturally, mugamay ang ilahang population. So, there is a gap open for invasion nga ay pwede siya ma-invade sa lahi na pod nga mga species. Okay. Next, let's go to the second type, which is the dominance controlled. Sa iyang term palandaan nga dominance, it says here nga some species are strongly superior competitively. So, diri na dayon nato ma-discuss ang ginatawag nato nga community succession, no? But before we go to that, let's tanawon nato ang sa tawagan ni, murag preview bitaw niya. So, sa atong community succession, naatay ginatawag nga mga early species o kanang mga later species. Pag moingon tag early species, naani sila'y kanang they were described as good colonizers. Good kay sila mo colonize sa usa ka place, and then aside nga good sila mo colonize, paspas pud sila mo grow, no? And then ang mga later species na pod, they can tolerate lower resource levels and grow to maturity in the presence of early species, but eventually they can outcompete these early species. So, mauna siya. In here, sa atong example, okay, I would like you to look at the first two circles sa atong picture. Pioneer and early successional communities. So, dira, sa first nga circle, makita nato nga, there is an open space. And then, kanang open space, gi-invade na, gi-colonize siya sa usa ka species. Example, anang P1, P2, and P3. That open space is being colonized by a group of opportunistic early succession species. And then, as time goes by, let's go to the second circle. Naa na po'y mga species nga ni-invade. Lahi na po ng mga species, kanang M1 and M2. So, often those kanang and then again, let's go now to the mid-succession. Katong mga species nga poor ang ilang nga power sa pag-disperse, atong ma-observe nga unsa man nangawala na. Kini una kay daghan diri. Una nga nag-colonize kay kanang mga P species. Naakihapon siya sa second circle. But if we will already look to the mid-successional, nangawala na sila kay poor ang ilang dispersal. Thus, these eventually reach maturity, dominating mid-succession ang nidaghan na kay kining mga M1, M2, so muna na sila no, and many or all of the pioneer species are driven to extinction. Atong makita nga nawala na ang P og napulihan na pud sa M, no? So later mauna ni siya ang climax, which we call the later species. The community reaches a climax stage when the most efficient competitors, which are C1 and so on, are gi-oust na nila ang ilang mga neighbors. So, buot pagpasabot nga good ang ilahang good ang ilang dispersion, good ang ilang pag-grow sa inana nga place. Mautong giingon ako ganiha, diba? Nga kaning mga later species, when they grow to maturity, they can eventually outcompete katong mga early nga species, and then sila na dayon ang mo take over sa inana nga place. So, in this sequence, if it runs its full course, the number of species first increases because of colonization, ni-decrease sila because of competition, no? Competition, may it be through competition, especially sa resources sa ilahang food. Now, let's go to the community succession na mauna ni siya. So, sa kini, nga lesson na to, we have two types, the primary and secondary succession. So, sequence di ay sa species, we have the primary and secondary. When we say primary, if an open gap has not previously been influenced by a community. So, atong mga gap bitaw ganiha. So, if wala pa siya naagian og influence, matawag na to siya nga primary. But when we say secondary succession, this is where the species of an area has been partially or completely removed. Pero, ang ilahang seeds and spores naara gihapon. So, let's see, unsa ba ang different properties aning early succession and nibalik gihapon ta sa atong early and late nga mga succession nga plants. So, sa atong early succession plants, they have a fugitive lifestyle. Next, continued survival depends on dispersal to other disturbed sites. And then, kining mga early succession, they cannot persist in competition with later species. It means, dili sila makakompete. So, kinahanglan nga, unsa paspas ang ilahang pag-grow and consume the available resources rapidly as well. So, kung unsay naa dira, dapat mauna ang ilang nga makuha, no? Next, early succession plants have high growth and photosynthetic rates. They also have efficient seed dispersal. Maganing niingon diri nga kuan kay sila, they must grow and consume the available resources rapidly. So that's why na sila efficient nga seed dispersal, and they are also usually precocious reproducers. So it means that they are soon ready to leave descendants in new sites elsewhere. So paspas kaayo sila. Pero sa atong later successional plants, they are different from the early succession plants because they can germinate even sa shade. No, bisag dili ina nakahayag bitaw maka-germinate gihapon sila. They can continue to grow at low light intensities too. No, not unlike sa atong early nga kinahanglan jud sila og high photosynthetic rates. And then they have larger seeds, but unlike the early plants, they have poorer dispersal, no? Hina sila, and they also have long juvenile phases. So, atong makita dira, no, kanang sa early successional, kay paspas kay na siya, kinahanglan jud og taas kaayong photosynthetic rates, tapos niabot na siyang mid successional and then late successional, no? So, nidako na ang plant. Okay, now let's go to our last major topic, which is food webs. So, no predator-prey, parasite-host, or grazer-plant pair exists in isolation. It means that each and every one of these is a part of a complex web of interactions with other predators, parasites, food sources, and competitors within its community. So, dili ta makaingon nga, ay, exempted ni siya kay murag gamay ra kay niyang iyang effect sa community. Ay, exempted ra ni ang predator-prey, no? But, sa atong food web, giingon nga, walay isolation. Everyone is a part of that complex food web. So, food webs, it shifts the focus to systems with at least 3 trophic levels. Kung atong mahinumduman ganiha sa atong murag second nga slide, no, nga naatay matrix, karon sa atong food webs naaputay 3 trophic levels. We have the plant, the herbivore, and the predator. And of course, we consider not only katong mga direct nga mga factors, but also the indirect, not only the direct effects, but as well as the indirect effects that a species may have on others on the same or other trophic levels. So now, let's go to The indirect, we have two subtopics di. We have the indirect and direct effects and the population and community stability and food web structure. So sa atong indirect and direct effects, we can see some examples here. Example, ang species nga atong gi-remove is a predator. So ang iyang effect ana is the increase in the abundance of its prey. Of course, wala na magkaon atong mga prey kay gikuha naman ang predator. Other effects are being viewed as, example, na kay species nga gi-remove sa usa ka lugar. Unya, ang nahitabo ang yang effect kay the competitor may decrease in abundance. No? And then, however, kung ang other examples nagapakita na pod nga if imuha gi-remove ang predator, this can as well lead to a decrease in prey population. So, not necessarily nga gi-remove nimo ang predator, dili na mo gamay ang prey. There still are some circumstances nga makaapekto sa prey, no? Bisag walay predator. So, let's look to our example here. This is a representation of kanang example sa usa ka island, kini na lang. Sa usa ka island na ay kanang mga iring bitaw nga sa bagilabay dito to escape domestication. Ang mahitabo, since they were brought to that island, they now threaten katong mga native prey. So unsa ba ang prey dere? Kini ang mga birds. Of course, pwede po nga ilhang kauno ning mga birds. No? So, since gidaha dito ang mga iring, the birds will be threatened to extinction. So, obviously, mao na siyang mahitabo, no? But, unsa pa? There, especially, there is often the case, there is also this case nga, ang mga rats na pod, ang gipada dito, ang gi-allow to colonize that island. So, the predators, ang mga predator, or ang predator, dili ra usa ka buok, but duha sila. But the super predator is the cat, and then the mesopredator is the rat. So, the rats typically both compete with prey upon the birds. Of course, dili lang ang rats ang makakaon sa bird. Pati pud atong iring. So, mukimpit sila sa usa kag usa. So, the cats normally prey upon the rats as well as the birds. Grabe. Murag kuan kay siya, murag complex kay siya. Mao gani na no, ginatawag nato nga food webs kay complex kay siya. So, in short, unsa ba? In other words, ang mga cats, they normally prey sa katong mga rats and sa birds. Hence, removal of the cats will relieve the pressure on the rats and thus likely to increase, not decrease the threat to the birds. So, if atong tan-awon dire sa atong kini, letter B, lisod po kay to ikwan o lisod po kay to explain. If atong tan-awon dire, this is an output model with realistic values for the rates of predation and reproduction. So, atong makita dira nga, the super predator, which is the cat, kini, the super predator keeps the mesopredator in check and all three species coexist. Pero, if kuhaon nimo ang super predator, which is ang iring, the mesopredator drives the prey to extinction. So, since siya na lang ang mag-consume sa prey, iya jud ma-drive ang prey into extinction. So, kuluoy kayo ang langgam, mga wala na lang noon. So, next slide, let's go to the indirect effect. Sa atong indirect effect, naatay ginatawag nga trophic cascade. So, unsa ba ni siya? This occurs kung ang predator iyahang i-reduce ang abundance sa iyahang prey. Same ato, nga if ang magpabilin isang mesopredator, iyahang ma-lessen ang abundance sa prey or iyahang makuan. This prey will go to extinction. So, mauna siya. atong makita dira, such that the prey's own resources, typically plants, increase in abundance. Siyempre, kay nahurot naman sila, or dili man siguro nga mahurot sila, since nga nigamay naman ang ilang population, of course, mo increase na pod ang ilahang food resource. Siyempre, wala na magkaon atong mga food resources. Kaya nangawala naman ang mga kuan, nangawala naman ang mga tigkaon. So, we can see here, kini. Sa atong example, this is a 2-year experiment in which predation by birds was experimentally manipulated in an intertidal community dito sa United States. So, atong makita nga, atong ma-determine, unsa ba ang consequences for the 3 limpet species and their algal food. So, if we will see dire sa kini, no, di ba? In the number of limpets mo ni siya 0, 200 to 400 na apay birds present. So sa kini nga species, makita na to nga inani ra kadaghan ang limpets nga naka-survive tungod na ay birds nga present. But if the birds were being excluded sa usa ka lugar, makita na to ang kinalahi jud ang pag-increase sa population sa kini nga species. Syempre, wala na may tigkaon. So, obviously, it became evident that excluding the birds increased the overall abundance of one of the limpet species. No? So, napoy, mao jud ni ang pinakadako sa tanan, kining L. digitalis. But ang others, kay same ra gihapon, ang usa kay ni babae ang population. But well, mao na siyang example, guys. So, when birds are excluded from the intertidal community, barnacles increases in abundance at the expense of mussels. Naana po dire, no? So, una-una, kinaapay birds, gamay ra kayong mga barnacles. Unya, gikuha na ang mga birds, nidaghan na ang mga barnacles, nibali na po sila, nibali ang kadaghan sa barnacles og mussels. So, those were just some of the examples. So, let's now go to the next points. We have what we call the top-down control and the bottom-up control. So, when we say top-down, it occurs in situations in which the structure or the abundance or the species number of lower trophic levels depends on the effects of consumers from higher trophic levels. So, from top to down control. So, then, if moingon na po tag bottom-up control, this occurs in a community structure dependent on factors such as nutrient concentration and prey availability that influence a trophic level from below. Kung sa atong top-down control, nag-refer siya sa higher trophic levels. Kung sa bottom naman kaysa, of course, dito na po siya sa below, sa ilawom na po. Okay, for our last subtopic, we have the population and community stability and food web structure. So, in here, the removal of some strong interactors can lead to significant changes spreading throughout the food web. And then, these strong interactors are what we call the keystone species. So, in building a construction, ang keystone nga ni guys, like example, this is a wedge-shaped block at the highest point of an arch that locks the other pieces together. So, dito dito sa pinakataas, if imuha ni siya gikuha, unsay mahitabo, if you will remove these keystone species, this will what? Lead to a collapse of the structure. Kung sa animals, it can lead to extinction or large changes in abundance of several species. So, mauna siya. If you will remove that keystone species, again, it will lead to extinction or large changes sa abundance. So, we also have here, kini, model food webs, no? Ang atong food webs, gin-characterize siya sa tulo ka buok. nga characterization. Number 1, the number of species they contain, no? Number 2, unsa ba ang connectance or connection sa web? And then number 3, the average interaction strength between pairs of species. Actually, daghan pa jud kay na siya, guys, but in summary, maura jud na siya atong food web, gin-characterize siya into 3 species. So, in conclusion, atong makita no nga some species are more tightly woven into the food web than others, no? Because of some certain factors nga naa sila. And then number 2, ang relationship between food web complexity and stability is uncertain because of some factors as well. And then the last one, mathematical and empirical studies agree in suggesting that, if anything, population stability decreases with complexity. So, the more nga complex kaayo ang naa dira sa usa ka environment, ang pagka-stable sa isa ka population mas naga-decrease siya kay lisod gani, di ba? So, that's all for our topic sa atong chapter 9. I hope nga daghan mo na learn, and thank you so much for listening.